All right. Welcome back, everybody. There's been a change in our agenda a little bit. We're gonna go ahead and move into the WSU extension with Dan. Hi, Dan.
Good morning, commissioners, and good morning, Mark, and everybody else. Just a briefing for you to hear about all the great things we've been doing in your packet. We included our program report for you. There's a lot of great nuggets in there. I'm not going to go through it like I typically don't want to read it to you, but just highlight a few pieces. Our 4-H program has been very active with its club-based programming, doing all the projects and learning that they're doing, and this is the great time that they get to experience that. We have our robotics night still happening. That's going to wrap up here in June for the summer. And our Clover Kids program, which happens once a month at the library, has been a tremendous success. We moved it from Memorial Hall to the library to access more families, and it was a great location to move it to. And then our camp counselors just wrapped up their monthly training for our summer camp program. We have 38 high school kids going through our counselor leadership training program. They meet for 3 hours once a month to do various leadership topics. And summer camp is full. We have 100 campers already signed up in June, which is the earliest we've ever filled camp, which is wonderful for us. Our SNAP Ed programs active at the farmers market, getting people signed up for SNAP benefits and things like that, as well as working with our nutrition program at Shelton High School. And they also work within the Pioneer School Garden, which is great. Master Gardeners, I don't know if you attended their plant sale they had a few weeks ago, but it was their best plant sale ever. So it was fantastic. The weather, not so nice, but it was great. We're inside Lynch Creek Farms. They allowed us to use one of their areas up there, so we're indoors, which is just fantastic. We also partner with some community agencies to provide education, so people could bring in soil samples to get it tested and see if they need things tested there. The health department had some awareness campaigns going on as well as our noxious weed program had a booth there to educate folks on what noxious weeds are in our area. They also are doing community outreach. The Master Gardeners are up in Hoodsport at the garden or at the library, called it Gardeners Gathering. So some quick 15-minute topics for people to gain interest in the gardening up there, which is awesome. Our small farms program currently is still doing the green crab awareness. So teaching property owners who have land on Puget Sound what green crab is and how to identify it and how to report it. That's a big thing kind of happening in the Puget Sound. And then we also offered our first ever beekeeping workshop. So if people are interested in keeping bees, this was a beekeeping 101. We had record attendance for our first one, but we limited it to 20 people and it was full within like a week. So there's a lot of interest for beekeeping, which is great. And actually in our office, we have a sample beehive that people can come look at and touch and see what it is before you invest into beekeeping. You can come check that out. And we're going to be offering beekeeping classes coming up, which is great. And finally, our noxious weed program is out and about addressing all those nasty things in our community. We have Heidi working hard, getting to understand what that county looks like and working on those grant deliverables that she's been doing. And today is the first day of our weed specialist who just started today as well. So we're really building that program up, which is wonderful. So that's my brief program report for you. If you have any questions, please reach out. But otherwise, there's a lot more great nuggets within this packet here for you. So I appreciate our partnership. Thank you, commissioners.
Yeah, wonderful way to do it in time too. That's pretty impressive. Commissioners, anything for Dan? All right.
Yeah, you always do such a great job. Appreciate you and all your people. I hear it in the community all the time about how great, especially 4-H.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
We had fun at the parade too last weekend. So
good.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dan. Okay, next up is Steve Duenkel, and you have to show that you can do the same thing he did and actually get it done in under 5 minutes. What a concept.
Hey, Dan, I like bees. Can we set up some beehives in the auditor's office? Morning, commissioners. Hey, so I just want to give you a very brief update. We have been approved for money from the Office of the Secretary of State for information security improvements to our election system. And we've been scrambling with the help of Kelly Frazier and team to get a couple projects approved by the Secretary of State's office for enhancing the physical security to our tabulation room. And happy to say that we received formal approval from the Secretary Secretary's office last week, and Kelly and team have been scrambling to make the physical improvements to the ceiling, and we'll be working on the air conditioning for the servers that now are included in the tabulation room. But I want to give you a heads up on that. So the total for those two projects should be somewhere in the neighborhood of $22,000, and that will bring us right up to the $80,000 limit for which we were approved for fiscal year 2024. Any questions or comments?
Any questions?
Me.
There are none. All right. Do you have anything for Steve? Okay, we're on a roll. That was 1 minute. What, 2 minutes? Good job, Steve. Do you have anything else for us? Nope. Okay, thank you. All right, next up, we have Community Development and Randy Collins. Hi, Randy.
Good morning, Chair Netherland, fellow commissioners, Administrator Neary. I will try and keep this very brief as well. The item before you is a memorandum of understanding with the North Mason Fire Rescue Authority and the Kitsap County Fire Marshal's Office to adopt burn regulations consistent with Mason County within the Tri-Lakes area. The background is basically the Tri-Lakes area is an area within Kitsap County that is served by North Mason Fire District, and in 2011 it was incorporated into their district, where it is their legal responsibility to serve that area. Over the years, because it's Kitsap County, they have different burn regulations than those we adopt here in Mason County. To that end, when they respond for smoke investigations, calls, unauthorized burns, there's often confusion about which regulations exist. To that end, I was approached by Chief Bakken of North Mason to explore the feasibility of having those burn regulations that are in place in Mason County be in effect in that small portion of Kitsap County, which encompasses the Tri-Lakes area. I approached Tim Whitehead, asked him about what would be the best mechanism to do that. He suggested a memorandum of understanding, which is, of course, what you have in front of you. I approached the Kitsap County Fire Marshal. He was very receptive to the idea. So the outcome was the MOU that you see, which has subsequently been developed and approved by Tim Whitehead's office, as well as North Mason Fire and the Kitsap County Fire Marshal. So basically, the proposal is to ask for you to approve this, so then we can get the appropriate signatures from all affected parties and put this into effect. There's no budget impact that we've been able to identify, and public outreach will consist of North Mason Fire contacting all the people in the Tri-Lakes area once this goes into effect of the change. And I will be happy to answer any questions you might have.
So you would like this taken and put on the agenda for our next general meeting?
I would.
Okay. Commissioners, Commissioner Trask, anything?
I appreciate you reaching out to Tim to make sure that this was all in order and support it 100%.
Of course, you're more than welcome.
Commissioner Schutte.
Yeah, Randy, definitely support this, but also just had a question about burn restrictions in general as we head into the summer and kind of what your sense of the fire situation is and if we should anticipate any action in the coming weeks from your office.
That's a good question. I just came back from a chief's meeting. I was hoping to run into my DNR counterpart there to ask them what they're looking at, since, as you well know, a couple of years ago, we adopted the same burn restrictions that they do. And unfortunately, no one was there. To be honest with you, if I was just to tell you based on my personal experience and professional opinion, we're probably going to not see a burn ban go into effect just right out until after 4th of July, especially after the recent rains we had during the Forest Festival.
Yeah, great. I appreciate that. And the reason I was asking too is I saw Pearson had already set theirs in place here. It's like about a week or so ago. So, but the rain is definitely helpful, and we'll just look to you for guidance as we get into the summer months.
I will certainly apprise you if anything changes.
Okay, do we have anything else for Randy? All right, thank you, Randy. Have a great day.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we have, let's see, Dave Windom, Public Health. Hi, Dave.
Hey, good morning, Commissioners. We have two quick items, and Melissa will be taking those.
Good morning, Commissioners. My first item is 2 amendments for treatment sales tax contracts. So back in January, I briefed the board on just our current contracts for treatment sales tax, the contracts that we have, the funding amounts, and we started the conversation around changing and aligning our community RFP contracts, which run from July 1st to June 30th, to align with the budget year, which is the calendar year, January through December. So in an effort to do that, we took all the contracts that ended June 30th, or that are ending June 30th, 2024. The agencies submitted contract renewal proposals to request what additional funding would be needed to continue and sustain their programs from July 1st of this year through the end of the calendar year, December, so that starting in 2025, their contract can run January to December. The first contract that submitted a proposal was Northwest Resources, the Social Opportunity Support Program, which is essentially intensive case management for individuals who are experiencing SUD and or mental health issues. They submitted a proposal. They requested a total of $83,827 and some change, 70 cents, to sustain their services through December. The Housing and Behavioral Health Advisory Board reviews that proposal and recommends that the sustainability of that program be funded by the TST reserve, as well as reallocating unspent funds from other TST contracts. So the first amendment that we're looking for approval on is to reallocate $75,115.39 from Crossroads Housing to the Northwest Resources contract, and then the remaining $8,700 from the TST reserve. Are there any questions about that?
Questions, Commissioner? No?
No, just a good conversation about this at the Housing and Behavioral Health Advisory Board as well. They're supportive.
All right.
I support it as well.
Same. What you got next, Melissa?
Thank you. Next item is law enforcement assisted diversion, our lead program expansion contract. So this is a contract with the Healthcare Authority. It's been in effect since 2020. We currently have a contract in place for 2023 to 2025, but they are offering additional funding in the amount of $515,000. So this will help with adding an additional SUD professional, more staffing, client supports for that program. So just looking for approval to accept the contract with the Healthcare Authority, and then we will follow up in a future briefing, the contract amendment with our provider, Olympic Health and Recovery Services, with a plan on exactly how those additional funds will be used.
So, Melissa, one of the things I'm going to need from you, I attended a meeting with the public defenders, the prosecuting attorney, and the sheriff's office. It appears that there's a very low use of the lead program through them. What are we doing with this money? What's happening with it? You don't have to tell me today, but I will go ahead and move forward as far as I'm concerned. But I'm gonna love to hear what we're actually doing with it. Is this just sitting out there and not being used? We're paying for it. Should we be doing something else as another option? Or because they're not using it, should we be finding ways to get them to use it? All those options are on the table there.
In short, I think we can certainly answer this in more detail when we bring maybe the contract amendment in a future briefing. But in short, we're in the process right now of kind of reactivating the policy coordinating group, which makes a lot of decisions about how this program is actually used. I think a lot has changed in the last few years in terms of the Blake decision and then the non-Blake decision, and then having there be a lot more community referrals into the program versus law enforcement. I will give a really big kudos to Haley Folsch, who is our program manager for the lead program out of public health, really working hard to kind of open that conversation with law enforcement. I know she now attends, the sheriff's office has been very welcoming for her to attend their roll call on Wednesdays. I think engaging them is a really big piece of the conversation, just so that we know exactly how it can be used to make their jobs easier. We've been invited to speak at a variety of community groups over the last year or so. I think also getting an idea from the community on what this program can really do for them. We can educate on exactly what the intent of the program is, because I think a lot of times when people feel it's not being used appropriately, maybe they don't quite understand what the intent is. So we're doing a lot of education, a lot of conversation with the policy coordinating group, which isn't just law enforcement. It also includes the public defender's office, the prosecutor's office, and other agencies that refer into the program as well. So that was longer than I thought it would be, but I can bring a bigger breakdown once we have the amendment from OHRS.
Yeah, thank you. Commissioners, questions, comments? Approvals? Oh, Mark, go ahead.
Melissa, I had a question for you on that in terms of the barriers to entry to the LEAD program, and would that policy group address maybe
Eligibility.
eligibility and looking at the requirements associated with individuals we let into the program, and maybe broaden that a little bit so that we could allow people that maybe had trouble in the past but really want to.
That's actually one of the biggest topics for us going forward. I've actually had a conversation with a client from another county who was transferring here, who was eligible in another county, but was no longer eligible here, because there's different charges that either somebody is automatically denied from the program, or depending on how much time has passed, they might be eligible. So we will be bringing some of those topics to the policy coordinating group, because, you know, I think we can all agree if something happened 25 years ago, maybe we can still work with that person.
Yeah, that's great. I think that would definitely help get more participation. So
I agree.
I'm glad to hear that. Thank you.
Okay, anything else for Melissa? All right, go ahead and put it on, Melissa. Thank you. David?
Thank you.
Oh, okay. The only other thing I want to talk about was we did have a response this weekend to a possible measles case. It was coordinated through the state, and Dr. Kreger, who got a hold of me, we got a hold of the physician, got samples, and I took the samples at public health lab Saturday night and got everything back from the lab yesterday. Tests were negative, but it was just another case of actually, this is Dr. Kreger's first incident with us, and of course this weekend, and we kicked things off and things went well.
All right, anything for Dave? All right, thank you, Dave.
All right, thanks.
All right, on our agenda, we have the Board of Equalization interview, but it's not going to happen. The person pulled out. So next up, we'll have Loreta Swanson, Public Works.
All right. Good morning, commissioners.
Morning.
So first up, we have a request to create a new county road project number for the Matlock Brady Road project. And Mike's here to talk about that.
Yeah, we're looking to create a CRP for Matlock Brady Road from 16.67 milepost to 19.73. That's about 3 miles. That's from Matlock itself by the store all the way down to Merriam Knight School. This would be our next year's 2025 STP project. And what we're trying to do is jump on this ahead of time so we can get it out sooner. Each year, we'd like to actually be advertising in the spring instead of waiting to the summer to advertise. So if we get this on now, we can get it on the STIP, the state program, and start our NEPA and get the process rolling.
With me.
Looks good to me. Oh, you're muted, Randy.
Same for me.
Thank you.
All right. And then next up, we have a memorandum of agreement between the county and Fish and Wildlife for the Schoolhouse Creek project.
So it's a little bit of history on this. This is Belfair to Huya Road. It's milepost 11.49. It's down there by Kay's Corner. What this is an existing culvert that was originally put in about 2003, I believe it was. That's 12-foot wide, 7-foot high, but it's currently completely covered in sediment rock. And so the creek has sedimented up to where it doesn't function anymore and ends up over a road. Well, as you know, if you've been on North Shore, this road is very important because North Shore in the wintertime occasionally gets a tree down across the power line and they close the road. So this is the only way out. So what we're trying to do here is reset this culvert, actually raise the existing structure and raise the road, and then monitor the sedimentation and see how it works. Because Fish and Wildlife says if we replace it completely, they want a 28-foot wide structure because of the orca whales or something. So what we want to do is reset it. They said, yeah, we'll give you a permit to reset it, but you need to sign an MOU, an agreement that if it does sediment back up, that you will replace it within the next 5 years. Well, it's an important enough road that we recommend that we do enter this agreement so we can reset it and monitor and see if the creek is still going to keep rising. So rather than putting a 28-footer in there and finding that out as the problem itself. So.
Yeah, commissioners, I think probably all of you and Mark have been out to see this site. It's pretty amazing to see how much gravel is stuffed in there and continues to move off the hillside and through that drainage. All right, any questions about that, commissioners?
No, appreciated you guys taking me out there to take a look at it and other problems also, or areas of concern, I should say. And so I was just amazed at how much debris is in that big pipe. It's crazy.
It is. And imagine being the crew in the middle of the night in the winter, flooding, trying to deal with that.
Right.
Yeah.
So Loreta, when I was on my ride along up in the Belfair area, one of the culverts that I got to see actually had some large woody debris that was strategically placed in it to kind of help prevent that sediment from coming in there, or at least, taking the big stuff and keeping it out, and some of the small stuff was able to go through. But is that something that we could do in this area, or is that not an option?
Yeah, not an option here.
Okay.
Mike, you had some hydrologists and hydraulics experts take a look at the reach and what to expect in the future. And yeah, not an option here.
Okay.
Maybe we could follow the Caldervin model and get a dredge permit. Yeah, the channel downstream is basically completely filled.
Yeah, there used to be another channel of the Tahuya River that actually came over in this area, and it would actually clean out the bottom of the Schoolhouse Creek path, but it was plugged too upstream, and so it no longer does that function. And so this thing is just there's no other possibility for it other than resetting it. That's what the consultant recommended, which is what we were going to do anyway. So.
All right. And then discussion items, just have a quick follow-up and thank you to everyone who showed up for the Public Works Fill the Truck event. And commissioners and Mark, I know you all showed up as well, and definitely appreciate that and appreciate all the folks that volunteered to man the equipment, and absolutely the donations. That's probably the bigger thank you there.
So Loreta, the people, your North Mason crew want to apologize for backing traffic up all the way to Shelton from all your folks coming out there to drop it off.
All right. That's a big line of donations.
Yep.
So this year, the totals, so I just looked back at what was collected last year. So absolutely quite a bit more in the food category, a little bit less on cash, but definitely stepped up the game on food donations and actual products that were donated at both locations. So again, big shout out to the community and volunteers, and thank you, thank you. A fun thing for sure. And then I don't have it on for discussion, commissioners, but did want to just briefly follow up on the SEDS list. And I don't know if you had a chance to digest that information or not, but certainly look forward to any follow-up or questions or concerns that you may have about the SEDS list.
Nope, great job.
All right.
What else you
Loretta,
got? What?
Yes.
let's get together sometime this weekend and go over it.
Okay.
Looks good. I just want to understand it completely.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad to do that.
Thank you.
All right. And that's all we've got. Other than Richard says, let's get this ribbon cutting just off the TBD list. Let's get some dates nailed down. And one of the things I wanted to do is follow up. Commissioners, I wasn't sure if, I know at one time we'd talked about planning a congressional tour for just other projects throughout the county, and don't know if we want to piggyback on that, recognizing that our electeds' time is very precious, but or whether we want to just have a completely separate ribbon cutting planned. So I'll follow up with Mark on whether we've got some plans on the congressional tour, and we'll go from there. Any preferences, commissioners, or thoughts on that?
I think because of the year, it might be a little difficult to get people together.
Yeah.
Others are very busy doing other things.
Yeah.
And so it might just work better for people to let's get the ribbon cutting done and then the tour, in my opinion, later.
Okay. Any
Anybody
other
got
words?
anything else?
I do not.
Okay, I got one for you. Thank you very much, Loretta, for coming out with me to inspect the creek and all the work that was being done out in Tahuya. I think it was very productive. I've already reached out to the salmon enhancement group who are looking at different options, and we'll probably get back to us here shortly on what that looks like.
Great.
Your professionalism is always appreciated, and I think we were well taken and well used to be there. What do you think?
Yeah, no, appreciate being able to go out and see firsthand. I know that others have been able to take a look at different portions of the project, and I think it's just fantastic that a community got together and found ways to resolve private property owner issues and improve the lives of the community. So it's, yeah, and working through with our state agencies as well. So it was very impressive. Yeah.
And also,
thank you, Commissioner, for going out.
no, it was a good experience. So, to the commissioners, we were talking last week about flashing lights and perhaps speed sensors out on Highway 302. Representative Griffey was here for a meeting, so we had a long discussion about it. He's very much in favor and hopes that we can help to pull it off. If we do it, he wants to champion it to make sure they, that everything goes smoothly. He would prefer if we would consider, like we did in Belfair and other areas, a speed sensor. But I think he'd be happy with either one, whether it be speed sensor or the flashing lights. What I'd like to ask is for Loretta to look and get us some pricing on what those would look like, so that we have an updated price on it. I think when we did Belfair, we paid for it. Did we also try to do something with us maintaining it? Because I don't think that would be as necessary. Dan seems to think that maybe we can have them maintain it.
I think that's often the tougher thing, quite honestly, for DOT is the maintenance side. I don't know if Mike's still on, but I know that he was taking a look at pricing for the speed sensors and the units. And I want to say it was, well, yeah.
That's
But
all right.
yes,
You can
but
bring it
yes,
back.
we're digging into price.
Yeah, you can bring it back on the next one. It's okay.
Yep.
I just wanted to give you an update on the conversation that I had with our representative at the request of Commissioner Trask. It actually went
Alright.
very well. He is very well aware of the situation there and the issue that they're having. Sure wish we could really do something about that stuff falling in, but it's historic. It's we put more weight on it, it pushes it in further, and then they put things underneath it to move the water around, and then it just slips just past it, and even put a plate, and then it slips past that. It's there's no simple fix for that one, but right now I'm
No,
just more
there
worried
is
about
not.
that straightaway and all the dangers go with it. Just to let you know, Loretta, I ended up at the Victor Improvement Club. We had discussions, and they're very thankful and appreciative of the work we did on that road up there. On the sides of the road, there did not even recognize they had a light yet because it gets dark so late. They didn't even
Sure.
recognize, but they all were going down there to take a peek at it. It's there. I saw it myself. So well done on that. And I understand that we'll be getting some type of notice of the intersection. Those signs stood back up again. I don't know when that's happening. But the people of Victor was very much appreciative of everything we did, and if we could really help them. I told them we can't slow down their people. I wish we could. I wish we could do I Dream of Genie stuff and make it happen, but it just don't happen that way. And you can't legislate stupid. And some of these people are just flying down there at 80, 90 right before hitting the curb. I don't know how to do that, but maybe those speed sensors would be the thing. At least make them think about it before hitting that curve.
Yeah. Commissioner, and if you could, I'd like just to look at a map with you about where you're thinking.
Okay.
So that we can get together with DOT about that as well.
Yeah, I can show you the area and you guys tell us where you're thinking. It'd be best, but I'll show you the straightaway in the area.
Yeah, I mean, I think we know where, but would
Yeah.
still like to.
Because I'm not sure how it would have the greatest effect either.
Yeah.
You guys have the knowledge, so I'll be weighing on you.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Commissioners, anything else for Loretta? Okay. Nothing. Thank you, Loretta.
All right. Have a great Monday and week.
You too. Next up, Mark.
Thank you, sir. Diane's going to talk to us about open space applications.
Yes, it's time to set the hearing to consider the 2023 applications for open space. We have 10 applications and I'm asking to set the hearing in July. We're good with that.
Any objection, guys? Oh, I got a thumbs up.
Good with me.
Thank
You
you.
too.
I appreciate Diane working with our folks over in planning and development and our assessor's office to just make sure we have a good process in place for reviewing open space and these applications that we receive. And it was just a good example of good teamwork. So thank you for everybody involved. Mary, you want to talk about our appraisers?
Good morning, Commissioners. Teamsters Local 252 with the appraisers unit. We have reached a tentative agreement with the county for a term of 2024 to 2028. Again, this is another really collaborative process with Teamsters. I think we have a really great relationship there and appreciate all their membership and committee members for helping get this done in a timely manner. And like I said, the last time ahead of schedule, which is great for us as a county and great for our relations with labor. So I'm seeking approval to move this forward to action.
Any objection, commissioners? Nope. Looks like you got it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Great work again, as usual.
And so the timeline on that, Mary, it's going to actually be in place in June 1.
Yes.
And then Jen, ARPA contracts. Jen and Kate have been working on these.
Yeah, so we just have 8 contracts for our outside contracts. And we just want approval for Mark to sign on June 18th. We did have one request from the EDC to extend the contract to June 30th of 25, which I don't see any problem with. I'm glad they're being upfront about, their ability to get that done, and it fits within the ARPA timeline, and they think that they will expend those funds, all of them, so there won't be any money left over.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it all looks good to me.
Great, and there is on the cemetery district, the recipient has been updated. There was an error on that, so just wanted to clarify that.
Okay.
It would be corrected for the signature page. So that's all that I have for you this morning.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Mark?
And that's all we got.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for Mark? All right, down at the bottom, we have commissioner discussion and updates on the Be Yourself proclamation. I've been working on it, got a pretty good structure around it, but as normal, I have too much in it, and so Mark has helped me to take stuff out that is not necessary. Funny enough, I tried to incorporate the work that Mark had done and the work that we had done in the past to make sure that things are covered that should be covered in there, as well as the inclusion. And it's turned out some of the stuff that we've done in the past, and this other is just extra that may not be needed. So Mark should have a closer sampling to give to you guys here shortly. As for calendar updates, I have at least one meeting that I don't think that I declared. And one of them is a sheriff's breakfast that's coming up on Thursday, and the other is North Mason Community Voice is having a candidates night on the 13th, and I will be at both of those. And then I have one more thing I didn't bring up, but I'd like you to consider. I met with the Farm Bureau, and they'd like to talk about having an agricultural committee, how that would structure and stuff. I've asked them to put some stuff together so that we could have that discussion. Personally, I think it's a great idea. They're doing it in other counties, but I'd like to see how they would see it being structured, and I'll bring it forward in the near future.
Yeah, the last time I met with them, they asked me to do the same thing, so I brought it up, but it seems to stall. So if we can move it forward, I think that's a great idea. We do have a lot of very amazing folks that would like to get that going. So if we can, let's do that. And also on the proclamation, isn't AI amazing?
Well, it's quite a bit different, just so you know.
Yeah, the AI version got revised over the weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least what I was asked to put together, so we'll see what happens. On the that ag committee, I'm trying to see how that would function, and I'm only saying it now so you can have time to think about it for all of us on what we might like to see. I'm waiting to hear back from them how they would do it, but I'm wondering if it's not something that is set up where maybe we appoint, but we let like the conservation district or something run it on a quarterly basis and then bring the recommendations back to us. It may be as simple as that, or it could be a standing committee that we do like we have a planning commission or something. So give it your thoughts on what you think would be best for that if we decide to do this. Okay. Anything else?
As far as my calendar goes, there is it's provider with a purpose, and that is immediately following the EDC meeting on Thursday. Information for that is out there by the donut box.
Just for anybody that's listening, the donuts are a week old. Don't eat them.
Wouldn't eat them either.
Yeah. All right, Commissioner Schutte.
No updates. I think I noticed the provider with a purpose party last week, but I intend to be there.
Okay. Can I ask you to give us a motion then.
Mr. Chair, move we adjourn.
Okay, do I hear a second? Okay, it has moved and second. We adjourned here. No objection. We are adjourned. Have a great day, everybody.
Thanks.
Thanks.